So what does the smart city look like? Will it be drastically different, such as we see in science fiction? Or will it be like the city is today, but with some cosmetic changes? Or am I just constructing a standard research straw man? So I work for the ERC-funded Programmable City project, led by Professor Rob Kitchen, and I look at how smart city technologies interact with city life and urban flows. So this presentation is based on my case study research on traffic information systems and smart districts, with a focus on Dublin and Boston. So first of all, I propose thinking a little bit about various definitions of the smart city, and then about some specific examples and of technologies and places branded as smart. And I'll then come back to the original question. So like Francis Geraghty's question, a diamond is forever, the smart city is a wonderful term, but who doesn't like to think of themselves as smart? So smart is more relatable, goes to places that digital can reach. So the term goes back over 20 years to at least the World Forum on Smart Communities in 1997, since taken up by corporates like IBM and also by the European Commission and governments. So while corporates are still developing their placeholder smart city portfolios, often filled with ideas and concepts rather than solutions, the smart city has now been claimed by cities themselves. So as part of our research with Smart Dublin, a shared programme between Dublin's 4 local authorities, we surveyed all projects and initiatives that might be collected under the Smart City banner. So one of these, complete in 2011, is RTPI, Real-Time Passenger Information System, which you all know from bus and tram stops around the city and your smartphone apps. So this project was led by a broad range of companies and organisations and arrived relatively late compared to other cities across the world. So while we may have all experienced ghost buses that did not turn up, or maybe they did, I doubt any of you would like to go back to the old days of 40-minute waits and then 3 of them turn up together. So, but behind the ghost bus, it's actually an interesting story about how technology interacts with culture and language. So one of the novelty aspects of RTPI is how the Irish names in many places come to the fore. So Coolveen, Clun Salach, some names are familiar to you on your Dublin to Milia's roots. And a ghost bus would be a result of a number of actions. So first of all, Dublin would uses 2 information standards, VDB 452 for scheduled timetables, series for real-time information feeds. Dublin Bus would curtail a bus, meaning it would redirect before getting to its scheduled destination. And they changed the field in a way that other partners didn't expect. So this was the destination change attribute, which only has 19 characters and doesn't fit both languages. So they actually used a different one, which was a non-standard one, more information like guide dogs. And so that created a series of interruptions down the chain, which resulted on the signs not seeing buses turning up. So this is going too fast, but going back to that, I'll continue anyway. So this broke some of the systems, and this was fixed later by a lookup table, and they got around this problem. But it was an interesting example of how it interacts with technology culture. So back in their control room, they also have rescheduled their timetables based on real-time information, so they can look at the reported times of journeys, then use that to reprogram their actual schedules based on the last 3 weeks or last week to go around issues such as Lewis Cross City. They've also gone to other sets of possibilities, such as reprogramming traffic lights based on the proximity of a bus coming to it, so they change the sequencing before the bus arrives. So a further project is that of the smart districts. So Reka Petersak and I conducted some research on who might be centrally involved in this project. And what we found is there were 2 slightly different visions of the smart city, according to whether you talk to the tech community or those who are involved in planning or placemaking. So for the technologists themselves, much importance is given there to being high density population, sufficient hard infrastructure in which to make the sorts of efficiencies we associate with smart technologies. For example, we know by rolling out RTPIs that weren't buses that run more or less to a schedule that have certain facilities. But before I close, one aspect we do see with the shift from Dublin Docklands to Silicon Docks is the large presence of technology multinationals. So where to date our urban form in Dublin, as much as Boston, was dominated by suburbanisation, massive car-dependent shopping centres, and office parks. Now we also experience, like Boston, large parts of urban space being reclaimed by corporates and companies. So no longer content with out-of-town pastoral office parks with manicured lawns, we now see companies coming back and feeding off and into the creative anarchic space of cities. So for our new generation of technology workers, live, work, play has replaced work, drive, sleep. So what then of our initial starting point about the form and appearance of smart cities? Well, with RTPI, we see that the relationship to urban life is subtle, facilitating more efficient flows of people around the city, around the city. So for most people, this is the type of smart technology which only becomes apparent when it goes wrong. Whereas in the case of a smart district, we see different narratives on the future city, but also a lot of convergence. Finally, we can say that each place enacts its own urban flavour of smart, with convergence around a hard definition of sensor networks and feedback loops. Cultural connections matter, and with strong Silicon Valley links that we have, it's bringing a different sort of culture of awesomeness and radical libertarian individualism. So this is increasingly evident in the case of Silicon Docs, but far less so in the case of RTPI, which is as locally distilled as James Shinish Kabal. So Sinead, put him on the way.